this is your thing.
To be honest, I'm done talking to morons like you. You can claim I am scared, but I just don't feel like it. It is my American right to not engage in anything that I don't feel like. Actually, my human right to do so. That's right, humans don't have to engage in anything. Therefore, I will simply let you think that I was scared, and I don't want to partake in this. I have better things to do in my life than sit on here and discuss real life with some fool that I will never meet in my life. So go ahead and say this and that and think you are superior in arguments. If it helps you sleep at night, keep thinking so.
Well, I mean, if you're done talking about it, then I guess that this has been a really good episode of the VHL Pajodcast. I'm Kyle Snow. This is Ryan Power and Chris Miller. Thanks for joining me. And we'll catch you guys next week.
So that was a post by Trifecta and a current thread that I was catching up on.
Welcome. It's a pretty good thread.
This isn't the hate cast. I know you would think it. This isn't the Nazi cast. I'm sorry to disappoint you, but praise Pepe? No.
I'm sorry. Dollar in a Dream just stole the win in this thread from.
For those who don't know, these jokers. Sorry, by these jokers, I shouldn't include Chris in with these jokers, but Chris is sort of a joker. He's like a outside joker. We're the three different versions of the Joker, right? That's what we are. Is there more? There might be more than
there's way more. There's Jack Nicholson, Heath Ledger, Mark Hamill, Jared Leto.
Yeah, but I think it's more kind of like people have like a style of it. It's like there's the anarchist, which was like Heath Ledger.
Gotcha.
There's the clown. He's like the clown. That's like the Jack Nicholson or the Mark Hamill. They're very clown.
Yeah.
Or there's like the gangster, which is you can theme it like Jared Leto's, or you could theme it like they've done it in other versions where it doesn't always have to be tattooed, but it's like he leans more on the head of a mob family than I'm just a clown, right? Anyway, none of us are those three. All of us are them. Welcome to the VHL Pajodcast. I'm Ryan. Everyone knows me. We got Chris Miller here.
I'm Chris Miller. Oh, I just learned my name because with the Canadian education system, we only learn it at about 25 years old. With the American one, you learn it so much sooner.
I actually
let me tell you.
I'm 26, but I haven't learned mine yet.
Oh, jeez. I'm sorry, something.
Oh, yeah, you got held back those 3 name years, eh?
Nailed it.
Yeah.
I agree with that statement, Ryan, or my name isn't Steve.
Why do we always default to Steve?
I don't know. Steve's a good name. Oh.
Do we have any Steves? Is Steezy a Steve? Steve Z?
No. Steve Z?
He should change his username to Steve Z.
Oh, I thought my name was Vince.
I think Steve-O is Steve.
Yeah, probably.
I'm guessing. Also, we have Kyle here.
Wait, who's Kyle?
Wait, he just learned his name for the first time. He is back here, right?
Oh, mind blown.
Your name's actually Vince, and to segue that into the next segment.
The first segment?
How about them Stockholm Vikings?
They're pretty good.
Best team in league history.
Any other
an asterisk though, Chris, because there was the season 1 Calgary Wranglers, so we can't say that definitively, but we can with an asterisk.
I think it's the best. I'm just gonna put that out there.
Chris, hypothetical question: if we were to put an asterisk next to that, what would you do?
I don't think I could continue on as a GM. I think it would hurt so much.
An asterisk next to that, then yeah.
You bunch of walls putting an asterisk up against my team's record. You know what? You must be Canadian because you. No,
God damn it! Fucking Will just
definitely
walked the thread.
Yeah, I'm not surprised because Trifecta did call people retards.
I mean, I called him retarded twice. To be fair.
Well, I know Will was kind of not thrilled by that.
Bobby actually is one that's read several times. People.
Oh no, Ryan! Fucking Bobby lost it to who did I think it was earlier? There was somebody. Dollar in a Dream came in and just fucking nailed it.
Guys, I can access the Hall of Fame account.
Apparently your name is Patrick.
Yeah, it's a SpongeBob thing. So I'm living under a rock because that's what,
I don't know SpongeBob.
Yeah,
my name is Hall of Fame.
Dollar in a Dream. No shit, Ryan. I mean, I just know it because I had a childhood, but like, he's still.
I'm only now catching up to the docs area of this conversation.
Yeah, no, Dollar in a Dream wins the thread 4 minutes ago, Ryan. He kind of got that shit pretty much down.
Go ahead and dox me, you creepy perv.
Yeah, like
you weren't really going to dox him on.
No, I was just saying like you can't be like, hey, we're never gonna meet. I mean that definitively, because I can be like, well, you don't know that. What if I just did this thing? It's not like I haven't met anybody from the league before. Like there's precedent. I've met both of you. I've met Noah.
That's true.
That's it.
Phil.
4 people.
You've technically met Draper.
Yeah, you know what? You're right.
I mean, you could have easily met him. That's the point, right? Like,
we looked each other in the eyes and had a conversation.
Well,
and
if you had realized that was him, you could have easily.
Yeah, that would have been great too. Except that fucking
you probably could meet Higgins if you wanted to in a second. You can meet Bekatov and no issues. Tyler,
it's weird that I haven't met Bekatov at this point.
Yeah, are you guys like a street away or something? Or
no, never. He was in Riverview.
Same city.
It's sort of. Riverview is a town on the outskirts of Moncton, but like,
okay.
You have to cross a river. But like,
still, it's like he's never gone to switch.
Frank wins the thread. You're right, Kyle. Frank wins the thread.
Wait, Frank, Dollar in a Dream. When did Frank win the thread?
What? 6 minutes ago. Frank posts, what a lovely threat, ... and then posts the gif of Donald Glover in Community showing up to the house on the Roxanne episode when everything's on fire.
Oh, I didn't see that post. Oh, you're right. Frank does win this thread.
That's it right there. Settle down.
You're right.
We'll catch up on the thread winner there.
Afraid of a Little Lighting. Yeah, it was right after Afraid of a Little Lighting.
Yeah, well, listen, you have light-sensitive eyes. What can we say?
You're right. And then, I just got I like how we got really mad about that because Chris was like, "Oh, yeah, like that was a little bit of a weak leg to stand on." But like Chris, it's really hard not to pick low hanging fruit with him sometimes.
Threadlocked while we were in the Pajodcast.
Yeah, dude, I can multitask. And then I only threw in I missed my favorite VHL member, Lighting 25.
Will thinks
although I'm pretty sure that's soulless
for these wild animals, but we're doing a podcast right now, so I don't think that's it for tonight. Will,
we're gonna get in some awards debate in this podcast, aren't we, Ryan?
We're gonna have to be good.
Will, but it'd be pretty boring because we always agree on everything with awards. So like, I don't know why
we're gonna do awards because I have to decide more where I'm leaning.
Well, you don't have to decide, but we can have a little debate on a couple of the awards. I don't know.
Chris wants
GM of the year.
Saying Chris has got the salt already building on.
I mean, I would for top goalie, except it's really not a debate.
Chris,
I never said it was, or did I?
You did actually.
No, I did.
I don't think. I think you misspoke, but you did say the words. It's a debate. I don't think that you think it's a debate for yourself, but you think that there will be a debate.
Yes, I do think there will be users out there in the BOG who make arguments. I'm mostly just commenting how crazy it is, how close all the goalie stats are this season, and not only how close, how freaking dominant. Have you guys seen it?
Oh yeah, goalies were really good this year.
Like scoring is way down. You see all the shutouts? Insane number of shutouts.
Yeah,
like we were talking about this in our last cast.
Pretty crazy. Stockholm still averaged over 4 goals a game, man. The only team in the league.
Yes. We were talking about in the last cast. Okay, so we'll get.
You know who really facilitated a lot of that goal scoring, Ryan? Who really brought in?
I'm trying to lead into a topic for your team. Are you not going to let me?
No, I think he's just trolling you.
I was just messing with it.
We're all a little bit tonight.
All right.
A little jazz handsy.
Last time on, we were talking about the potential for Stockholm to have a historic season. They did.
We never lost again.
They never lost again since that point. It was a 27 straight win streak to close out the season. The Vikings finished with 66 wins, 4 losses, and 2 overtime losses for a grand total of 134 points. They were 12 points above the next closest team, which was Quebec. They did finish with the lead league in both goals for and goals against. Just barely in goals against. New York was actually ahead of them much of the final games of the season, but New York couldn't stay under 100.
You should have played MT Power more. Didn't you hear, Ryan? He had the best undisputed stats.
Sadly, it wouldn't have actually made a difference because we actually performed similar statistically at the end of the season. Holik actually had like 4 shutouts in the last 6 games. So it was just that one game that we didn't was against Quebec and they scored 3 goals. And it was like,
well, would MT Power have led him 3 goals, Ryan? Did you see his stats this year?
Oh, yeah.
He's clearly, Ryan, he had more than 4 games played. He's going to be the Shaw winner.
That's true. That's what I said. That was a troll, obviously.
No shit. How many games did you end up playing? Was it just the 8 or
8? Just 8. I went 8-0, 5 shutouts.
New password for the Hall of Fame account's great.
What is it, Chris?
So happy.
Say it.
Yeah, we're gonna say that on air.
I'm sorry, I can't.
Obviously,
I wouldn't even say it to you privately.
That would be anarchy. Well, no, remember last time?
Yeah. All right.
Last time Kessler almost got doxxed.
That's because we found out that there was admin CP.
In the midst of all this history, Stockholm probably has some notable award winners also on their club, but we'd be remiss if we didn't mention some of the other historic things going on this season, such as goalies, which is what I was bringing up earlier. Right now, all the top goalies in the top 10 in save percentage had 917 or better. There was literally 7 goalies with a 925 or higher. That's insane. Like I feel like 3 seasons ago, or maybe that number isn't perfectly correct. I guess I should say, I feel like it wasn't that long ago where we were talking about a goalie that leads the league in save percentage with like 926 or 927, and now to have 7 goalies basically around or above in those numbers, that just seems, yeah. As much as we all wanted to hate on him, Astrid Moon.
Asterisk Moon?
It had a really good.
Call him his proper name.
I was just setting him up for that. Had a fantastic rebound season in his second season with Helsinki, 929 save percentage, second in the league in goals against with a 1.48, and he did technically tie with Jacob Hollick for the shutout record in the regular season.
He was solidly the 4th best goaltender in the league this year.
Yeah.
Which is an improvement over like 12th from last year.
Yeah.
To be fair.
I really feel bad though this season and in future seasons because this is a thing now. I think going to be hard to get offense. You saw the individual point totals are way down. I was making note of that to a member of my team this past week.
I'm not going to say what, but Will just fucking savagely burned trifecta in an IM chat message to me.
Where am I?
Sorry, Ryan, I didn't mean to interrupt. Goalies.
I'm losing my mind. I'm losing my mind now. Anyway, it's okay.
Yeah.
I'll just use as an example. Obviously, the players who finished highest in points last season, we did have a high point totals last season, but Yarvi finished with like 160 something, right? It was a pretty high number. Maxwell and Assisted both had almost 140. It was like 138.
Could have set a record if somebody hadn't fucking ruined Yarvi watch.
Yeah. This season the highest player was Maxwell with 124 points. But the top 10 in scoring in last season even the top 11 all had over 100 points. This season only 6 players had over 100 points. Scoring just kind of down. So for those who had, and I know Kyle's in this boat, for those who had close to a point a game or better, like if you had 90 points or you had 87 points, you should be proud. This is a year where it wasn't coming easy for a lot of players.
I was glad with it. It was just like, come on, like why not one more point? 71 points in 72 games. Like, come on, it would have just been nice to have that checkbox.
A player that did achieve a historic dream, Bobby Digital, ladies and gentlemen, finished the season with no goals.
Yeah, there's a few guys had some pretty
finally happened.
Historical
it was
season.
Awesome.
I'm sure we'll talk about the likely top D winner.
Asterisk Moon. Bobby Digital.
You mean the likely MVP winner as well?
We'll see how that. I don't know about that argument, but I think he's definitely in the running.
For those who don't know, we're talking about the one and only, and we talked about this last time we were on the podcast. Guntness. Guntness had 93 points as a defenseman. 93. Tied with the defenseman lead with Titan Kronos. But the difference is he had 39 goals as a defenseman.
Yeah. But Ryan, I don't know if you read Hedgehog's statement. He said, oh, never mind, it's not in here. He was like, how would Petness ever be MVP? He was on a mediocre team. And to that I said, I don't think you know what the criteria for MVP is.
I think that,
right.
I mean, you know how we always do this. For people who don't know, let's just dig into awards. Let's just start.
I was going to say, just real quick, I'd like to mention, because we're talking about record breaking and stuff like that, Red DeGrath actually broke the goals against average record.
Like, all time?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Weinstein, originally, he got a 51 at 1.35. DeGrath was 1.33. So I thought I'd give a shout out there.
MC Power, though, had a .65.
Yeah, .65.
Yeah, maybe play some games.
Oh.
So I don't know what. Hey, games played is the most
Back
overrated
up.
statistic of all time.
Yeah, Chris, didn't you read Ryan's fucking
Back
590?
up.
I feel like he shouldn't get a point for that because it was kind of dumb.
Maybe I shouldn't have played Logan Like as much. Maybe he actually would have scored some goals for me.
That's true. That's true. That's actually true. You would have scored. Your team would have scored more. You should have traded him. You did.
I mean, that's obvious.
I did. Yes,
Yeah, exactly. So did you say Weinstein's was 1.53?
1.35.
Okay.
So DeGraff narrowly beat it, but he had a
And
couple really good games.
We're talking about
year.
historic goaltender seasons. Probably the other notable top 4 goalies. So Moon, Hollick, and Sky.
What's Moon's first name again, Ryan?
They'll probably all feature in that top 25 list of goals against average too. They
Yeah,
were all really
but
good as well.
some of them may have an asterisk next to them, having played
1.59.
65 games.
Yeah. But we were talking about Guntis Petnis and his case for MVP.
Yeah, that dude was good.
I think that's legitimate. I mean, he had 13 fights and won 9 of them.
I think that's the stat I would lead with.
No, that's not just the only stat you lean with, Kyle.
No, lead with.
What a
The
weird
first one you
year.
mentioned.
He also had Kyle.
Did he break the penalty minute record?
I think so. He also had 9 game winners, Kyle. Good for 9th in the league. There isn't a top 10 statistic
he
pretty
didn't.
much any. There isn't a top 10 statistic that this guy isn't in.
No,
Basically.
I don't disagree with you at all.
Number
It was
1 in
the
hits.
first
Number
stat
3
you
in
mentioned
shots
was
blocked.
winning most of the fights. Like that's a weird one to open with.
By 101. 101. He was off the ice for 305 minutes and still managed to get more points than Higgins. What does that say?
Black Velvet's over the hill.
It says that Guntis Petnis is the Riga Rain. And the Riga Rain are only in the playoffs. Okay, Davos. That's the thing too. Davos could have been a playoff team, right, guys? Like if it wasn't for Guntis.
If they hadn't made such a big
I'll say
mistake.
also helped a good job for the team in net too when they got him. But yeah,
he had a weird year. It's kind of one of those years where you have to kind of weigh the good with the bad because there's some bad. I mean, the penalty minutes is not a good stat as much as we love it.
You
don't want to but you don't want a high amount of penalty minutes, Ryan. Let's be real.
Chris, ask
I mean, here, let's take a look. If you don't want a high amount of penalty minutes, then what you should be telling me is that these penalty minutes somehow hurt the team. So if a team like Davos had less penalty minutes but less wins, then what does that say? Maybe there's something else happening. Maybe he's getting the crowd and maybe the CPU players' morale goes up every time he gets.
Here's one thing: the Riga Rain allowed the most goals on the penalty kill in the entire league by 6.
On the penalty kill,
they had one. Yes, they had a mediocre penalty kill as well. On top of that,
but they scored shorthanded, so they were just as dangerous without a man. So
Guntis was favorites. But he wasn't. He wouldn't have been in the. But he what? No, what? That's a terrible argument.
Hey, listen, if you have a good shorthanded squad that can score shorties, every time you take a penalty, you're just giving them a chance.
Chris, it's brilliant.
They weren't that good at scoring shorthanded goals.
That's some.
You said they had the most.
I said they had the most goals allowed on the penalty kill. As in, they surrendered the most goals while shorthanded. They surrendered.
Did they still win those games, though, Chris? Did they still win those games?
No.
Yeah. Well, then
I don't know.
Chris, hang on. I'm going to adopt some arguing from the school of trifecta, but they're the best team because I said so.
They allowed 49 goals on the penalty kill. Compared to other playoff teams, most of the teams are in the 30s.
Right, but I don't care about that stat because I don't. So, where's your argument?
I don't know. Riga scored more this season and averaged more goals for it than
Helsinki. I felt myself losing brain cells.
Just with Guntis alone.
I didn't hear what you said there, Ryan, because Kyle was talking.
They gave up. Sorry, Riga scored more goals for and more goals for per game than Helsinki. And that's just with Guntis, basically. I mean, they had players.
No, it's not.
I mean, they were all playing off of Guntis. We know it. It's basically
we don't know that.
Connor McDavid and
he didn't even play for half the game.
Exactly. He fired everyone up and
he still played 29 minutes a game.
Also, I think it's interesting how despite all the penalty minutes and that's such a bad penalty kill, it was Davos that had the least amount of goals the most goals scored against this season. 3.14 a game they gave up. Riga gave up 2.38. That's good for 5th. They're better than all the rebuilding teams. Now, granted, goals against they had Koprakev. And that does matter.
Riga's not really built like a rebuilding team right now.
That's true.
They have
No.
a 500 TP goalie and like 2 or 3 400 plus TP guys and a couple other 300 TP
And they
guys.
made
That's
trades
not
to
a-
get some of those guys
You know,
too.
I would argue they're kind of like Quebec last year.
They're
Ooh.
also a team whose power play is actually third best in the league, better than Quebec, Helsinki, and New York,
Mhm.
which is kind of crazy to consider.
Not really. Your team sucks on the power play.
Whoa.
No, I
By
said
the way,
all three of those.
without
like,
looking,
as a
without looking,
competitive
take a guess who
package.
led their team in goals on the power play, and points for that matter. Without looking,
I'm gonna guess Guntis obviously not
That'd be
him.
that'd be my guess.
David Hamilton.
David Hamilton, 15 power play and 26 power play points.
I did not actually look that up, by the way. I just was
Here
like,
we go.
I am-
Actual statistic to confirm Guntis Pentness is the MVP. First star, 14 times. Done. 14 times was the first.
Hold on, Ryan. That's what we're determining because Kohler had it 16 times. Is that how we're determining
Yeah,
it?
that's
Okay,
Kohler.
good. Kohler should be
That's-
MVP then. I think
It was one stat to look at. Come on, Guntis has a
Tyson-
legit argument in my opinion.
he's on the ballot.
he
so I
absolutely
don't-
does. He's on the ballot for sure. I just don't think it's a lock. I'd
Here,
like to
guys.
discuss some other
Rebuilding team.
players.
While we argue about these stats, I'm going to refresh myself with a refreshing
He
sip
almost
of
had 400
Coca-Cola.
hits. He had 396 hits. Jesus
I mean,
Christ.
This episode of the
400 is
Pajodcast is not sponsored by
crazy.
Coca-Cola.
Like it's a lot,
In
but
comparison
it's
to-
not like we haven't seen
Brandon
400
House,
hits
what-
before.
No, but in comparison to the rest of the hitters, is what I mean. Like you look at,
Sure.
I mean, yes.
I'm not saying he doesn't have an argument. I just think his argument's
actually
better for the
stats
slow
pretty low.
boat than MVP.
That's not unfair.
You might be right. He
In a
might have
year
better
where scoring was
argument
down, I
about
think
those
his argument of his all-around game is better used for the slow boat. MVP, I don't know if he's going to win it because at the end of the day,
All right,
Riga wasn't that
go
great.
ahead. We're gonna start. We're just gonna go through some awards here and just give early thoughts. Keep in mind, this doesn't mean we're actually voting these ways because anything can change with.
We also haven't looked into the stats at all. Like we're not. We literally
we're
could feel like,
digging
oh,
a
we
little
forgot
bit
this
here.
thing. Yeah, but I mean, like, we're not like, yeah, we're in the discussion phase. We could easily change our minds.
I totally forgot about the VHL lottery. Jesus, I just
Ryan,
noticed that just now.
You
I
have
hadn't posted. I
one
was gonna do it.
job.
That's not true. Gorlap probably reminded me, like, what are you doing? Where's the lottery?
I'm a little bit annoyed now.
Oh, never mind. You're annoyed that I forgot the lottery?
Yeah, Ryan. Come on.
Sorry. Don't worry. It'll be up.
Actually, I don't think I have
only missed
any
one.
ballots in this one. So
Actually, I missed 2 weeks for May at all. Anyway, that's random.
it's halfway through May. Get your shit together, Ryan. Come on.
I'll give
People
everyone
depend on
free
you.
entries.
Everyone
All
gets
right,
one free
so-
entry.
Obviously, there's some awards we know, so we'll just throw out some congratulations to the players who accomplished some of these feats. Obviously,
Brett DeGraff, top goalie.
No, I was
Yeah.
more talking. I was more talking about the awards that are determined already, like
Yeah.
not by voting,
I know.
not by voting.
Oh, you gotta admit, Ryan, you did kind of like lean into that one for him a little bit.
Sure. All right. Best regular season record. Congratulations, obviously, to the Stockholm Vikings. We talked about it at the start, but considering the asterisk moon on the season 1 Calgary Wranglers, because the rest of the league was so shit. So they kind of can go that way. I do think that Chris and Kyle have made a fair argument that Stockholm season's probably the best season from a team standpoint in the league history. So obviously, the Victory Cup, big deal.
Well, actually, now that I'm thinking of it too, like it wasn't even just like we had like some of the best players. I think Kohler did lead the lead in points, right? 116. There's no way somebody beat that.
No, I think he actually
All
got
the New York
past at
boys
the end of the year.
had the other awards.
He had the lead for a while, but
Yeah.
Okay.
towards
Well-
the end, the second line kind of picked it up.
Literally, the only people who had like shitty point totals were Kopelkov and Dragon Slayer. Jenkins had 68. Thrower had 70. Finn had 71. Everyone else was over a point per game. Like we had,
I'll
Yeah.
even be happy with Dragon Slayer because in 24 goals, I'll take it.
yeah.
Yeah,
And also, we
especially
both
in a season
sucked at
both
the
goals
start of the
down,
year.
right? Yeah.
Like
Yeah, we
there
did.
was a point when I had like I think
I had
40
200
in the
hits
season.
as
I had like
well, so
20
I'm-
points, and then just like
Okay with it.
yeah, I mean just like offensively, like our whole team had fucking like we were putting up points. Like when our worst guy still has almost a point for a half a game, like there's
Mhm.
if you look down some of the other teams in this list, like where's Rudolf Schmeckeldorf with 9. Come on, Schmeckeldorf.
Whoa, hold on. Someone tied. Like, seriously?
Yep. Oh my God, this is another Ryan. You don't even hold this record.
And he had more TP than Like did.
Your player's not even.
That's Corco.
That's Corco. Isn't that the guy who actually used our faces on his last player? Irony is
Pajodcast?
bittersweet.
Yeah, you channeled this to Ryan
VHL
Bauer.
karma.
Man, 1 goal, 8 assists. Wow.
To be fair though, Ryan, I use your face for my avatar, and that's when I started getting good. So what does that tell you?
No.
Also, fun fact: Schmeckeldorf still plus 43.
Oh yeah. He actually had a pretty. He was on the ice for a lot of goals. He just didn't contribute to them in any way.
All right.
So
So
he had
that's
40 shots and 1 goal.
Schmeckeldorf.
Schmeckeldorf.
How many shots did Digital have?
Oh,
Look.
well, yeah. Why not, dude? Bobby Digital's the best player.
47. 47 shots. New York Center 3 had 14 and had a goal.
I think that my favorite part about this whole thing is that Digital's name is the cleaner, but like really the cleaner should be somebody who's getting a whole bunch of garbage goals, right? Digital really shouldn't be
He's cleaning up his own crease.
And he's too busy cleaning up his own crease and then throwing those crisp, clean passes, Kyle.
Yeah, approximately 80 of them.
Yeah. I love how he led the league in assists, too. That's the best part about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I think I actually predicted that.
To get to this, lead points and goals, I'll give a double shout out. Finally, Streetlight, Diana Maxwell, congratulations. Seriously, like, I know you were kind of mad that you didn't get to win either of these awards in the last few seasons, basically because of your own teammates. So now Maxwell's the star on that line. Not to say unassisted and Lincoln obviously weren't both fantastic.
Fucking sucks. He's like definitely Steezy's second best player.
But yeah, there's another.
What was this year? I would argue.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
It's crazy to think he was this year when his player was second in the league and scoring at 122 points.
That guy's a fucking scrub, Ryan.
His goalie was so good.
That's
anyway, and leading assists, obviously Bobby Digital. So those are the awards that have been determined.
Bobby fucking Digital.
Based on the performance. I think it's hilarious how New York wasn't even close to the Victory Cup. We weren't even first in our conference, and yet our star power just dominated all the shit teams so much.
I mean,
we're the best.
It's hard to compete with the greatest team of all time.
That's true.
Oh, yeah. Also, yeah, Unassisted had 122 points. He had a really good season.
That's true.
He had a really good year, actually,
Yeah.
He was second in league in scoring, right?
All right. Yeah, he was. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say the numbers as well. Digital had 80 assists. That was the Beketov, as we discussed. That's it. That was his stat line. I mean, he had
0 goals, 80 assists for a total of 80 points.
Actually got to the 60 goal mark, which is a good mark in my opinion. That shows
scrub numbers. He was 12 goals off of being relevant.
He had 2 more points than unassisted this season with 124.
Yeah, I think we can agree that taking a chance on Streetlight when you did, Ryan, was not a mistake.
Oh. I mean, that's the thing. We're in our downswing now, right? We've already won 2 cups, so now we're in the downswing. So I'm just happy that
seriously, someone's doing fireworks for Mother's Day?
Chris, it's a big deal.
That's a big.
It's Mother's Day.
Get the fuck out of here! No mother deserves fireworks.
Wow. What about your mother?
Wow.
Your mother likes
Ryan.
Facebook,
Ryan,
Chris.
is that you? Sorry. I'm looking at him.
I'm kidding.
Your mother donated money to us during our charity stream.
True.
Your mother was the only mother who cared about the kids.
She donated mainly due to the fact that she likes the cause. But she
still
probably
for the kids.
quizzed me for about an hour to see if it was a legitimate thing, and I'm like, yes.
I know Chris asked me.
Stop worrying about it.
Was there any point during that thing where you told her it was for the kids?
I think I might have put it in my description.
Did you use the word?
I did
send her
to the kids. I sent her. I don't know, Mom. Or I don't know, man.
Were you able to call me Mom?
All right.
Yeah.
Awards. Let's
some 80 bullshit.
Boys. Most improved.
Man, I'm doing records.
Most improved.
Most improved? Oh. So this one's actually kind of hard.
Do you actually think Finn stands a chance? How many points?
No. How many points did they get last year?
No. You improved by like 20 points, man.
Oh.
You no
chance. I thought he only had like 30 or something.
Yeah, no, that was me. I think that was me, wasn't it?
No, Ryan.
Yeah, but you only had 48 points.
Finn had 53 points last year.
Okay,
yeah, and he only had 71 this year. Yeah, no, it's not.
I had 16, and I don't even think I'm in the conversation.
No, I think it actually has to go to Asterisk Moon because he was like the 12th best goalie in the league last year, and this year he's like 4th.
I don't actually disagree. He's got an argument.
Yeah, he has an argument.
DeGraff could have an argument.
What
Yeah.
about Guntis? I'm sure he didn't have a season like this last season.
Right.
No.
Are we? I guess we're not putting comeback player of the year in this year, are we?
Guntis is not getting that award.
What about Lucas Mueller? Had over 100 points this season. Did he have over 100 points last year?
Lucas Mueller?
Yeah, Quebec.
Mueller had 73 last year.
That's a good candidate right there. 70. How many goals did he have last year?
25.
He's got 36 this year, 102 points, plus 74.
Maybe. I don't know if that's enough to win it, though.
136 hits. Yeah, obviously, Astrid Moon is obviously also a...
Astrid Moon's probably the likely candidate. They're
so badly during a year. If you do good, the next year,
or however you want to say his fucking name, at 44 points. Yes, that's a huge improvement, but I don't think they're going to want to give it to. It's not usually what we give it to. We usually give it to guys.
The problem is the more you fill up his award cabinet for stat padding, and keep in mind it was stat padding. We all do know it. Riga was
absolutely
not a competing team completely.
I don't like that award for him. I'll put it that way.
But at a certain point, then he starts having probably a stronger Hoff case for one season like this than he deserves.
I don't like him for that. I think the award's more for a younger guy who's really coming out.
I think
for me, I would rather give that to Moon personally.
Mueller or Moon definitely fit that category.
Mueller's not even in the conversation to me.
But he's a younger guy coming out.
Yeah, but he improved by 30 points.
Yeah, that's not a small.
Moon improved by 34 save percentage points.
But now you're arguing who should win over the two of them. I was only stating that over Guntis, Mueller and Moon deserve to be on the ballot. That's what I was stating.
That's fair.
Okay, sure.
I think I agree with both of those.
I don't, because you were stating that the only reason you don't favor Guntis is because it should be a younger player who's breaking out. So, by that respect, if you would put both Moon and Mueller on the ballot,
I don't think Mueller's that strong of a candidate. Is all I'm saying. I don't really put him in the same conversation. To me, he's had a good season, the year before, and he had a very good season this year. But I don't think there was a massive improvement. It was 27 points, I think.
Well, how much points did he have last season?
Technically, Gaudette actually improved by about 40. He might have a better case, in my opinion. If we're talking about young guys,
71 points last season, correct?
73, I believe.
Okay, so he had 49-point improvement. Or sorry, 39 or 29-point improvement.
29.
I mathed the wrong way there. That's fine. I know what I was doing.
Pierre
States, Ryan.
Pierre Gaudette went from 59 to 95. I think he's a stronger candidate on Quebec.
That's fair.
That's Frank's young player. So
that John Locke, Kyle. Traded for you. I don't know. 87 points, 43 goals.
Dude,
Frank's
how good does he get face-offs?
He might be GM of the year. Most sportsmanlike. I think this goes to S.
John Locke's going to be GM of the year. He's not even GM of his own team, is he?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about, John Locke. Anyway, most sportsmanlike. We'll get to GM. Don't worry, it's coming.
Well, I already know
who I'm picking. About what you were saying.
That's okay. Most sportsmanlike. I think this is at Raven Wing personally.
Who had zero penalty?
Yeah, I was gonna say who had 0 penalty minutes.
This is the dumbest fucking award.
Raven Wing had 2. Okay.
Raven Wing had 2.
Lincoln had 5, but it was all a fight, so I'm kind of okay with that.
To me, that's what.
That's not very sportsmanlike at all, Chris.
No,
that's okay. He was defending his teammate. That's a true sportsman right there.
Raven Wing had 2 and had 91 points. Come on,
Chris. Why would he defend his teammate when he has the fight machine on his team?
Yeah, give it to Petness.
Motherfucker Sharpe.
What did Petness have? 305. Yeah, down. Give it to him.
Have you considered Motherfucker Sharpe?
We're giving it to Petness, man. He won 9 of 10 fights.
All right.
There should be a least sportsmanlike award. He should have won that every year. We should name it the Petness Award.
No, Chris, it's the Edward Encarnacion Award. Come on.
Oh, to be fair, Motherfucker Sharpe Award is probably the best name.
I don't disagree with that.
All right, guys. We're not going to get into top leader, but we will get into executive.
It should be snatched, though.
The year.
Ryan, there's only one.
Chris and Kyle presented an argument to me off stream.
I have a different candidate in mind.
There's 2 candidates, in my opinion.
Chris, an Eagles fan.
I don't think there's a third.
Because I really trust the process.
I agree with Chris that there's 2 candidates.
Do you agree with me that it's Chris and Eagles fan?
Higgins is going to vote for himself. That's fine.
Ooh,
to me, it's Frank and Chris that are the 2 candidates. I don't think Helsinki deserves it.
You don't trust the process?
Helsinki does not deserve it at all.
What did they do?
Nothing. They deserve it as much as New York deserves
And
it.
I'm gonna be frank. Yeah, I'm gonna be frank. Like New York, Helsinki didn't take any big steps this season.
To be frank,
Like,
nice.
both of them were good last season, and I think also rewarding Higgins when Helsinki needed to take big steps this season. Like as Chris said, Helsinki's like New York. Well, New York can afford to be in the state they're in. They just won 2 cups. Whereas Helsinki, they need to be doing the move Stockholm was doing, and they didn't. Whereas I feel like Quebec took control over the conference, just like Stockholm took control over the league. So
to be fair, Ryan, they drafted the worst rookie in history, including Logan Like.
Who did?
Helsinki.
Oh, Helsinki. Yeah, exactly.
Schmeckeldorf.
I just and then you can look at Quebec conversely, who drafted Locke, and now look at what happened with him, right? Like seeing those
Different
draft
seasons,
picks
to be
from
fair,
previous, but I see that's where we're going to agree to disagree. I think on judging of the award. I do think that you need to factor in the moves made this season, but it's not just who did you draft and who did you
Not
trade
who did you draft, who did you acquire?
But I don't just judge it on that. If you drafted a player 2 seasons ago that you slowly developed to become a good player and he only enters the league this past season and that player does good for you, that to me, that plays a part.
He does.
That plays a part.
Yeah,
so
no one's
that's why someone like John Locke does play an argument in
John
top
Locke
GM.
played during his rookie season.
You argued against that.
I did. But also, like, if you're going to count John Locke for that, then you just put him as a wash with Stockholm was Xander Finn.
But I don't. Locke was more pivotal to them than you were. Also, this is your second season with the club, so you count as a team as from last season.
But so does what Locke?
No, Locke was in the VHL
this
last year.
is Locke's first season in the league.
I didn't realize that. My bad.
Yeah. Although I sometimes I don't really like to count because he probably should not have been in the VHL.
How was he?
No,
he had the same
he
amount of
He managed to keep it under. I don't know how because he was pretty high in TP when I drafted him, much less.
Yeah, really.
Later.
Like you were probably.
I mean, obviously, we've already kind of had some of this debate off air, but essentially,
I'll say this. Let me see some, Ryan.
It's Miller or Frank, and I think both have legit arguments.
The gist of it is this: Quebec, or I'll just say Frank. Frank added a lot of players to his team, some insignificant, some pretty solid, young, significant guys. Although I will say the majority of his top guys were there last year, and are improving. And obviously Sky's still there. And he really did add a lot to that team in terms of sheer numbers. And the team improved by about 45 points.
Yeah. Well, let's take a look. Who's
the
new
other argument
for Tannen, Kronos, 47 is Van Hoser?
Kronos, Locke. For Tannen joined halfway through the year. So did
that counts. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just Von Hollenzolern, Komarov.
Van Lederhosen is what I call him.
Yeah. Big. If there was an award for least improved, holy crap, Max! Did he ever go from stat pad?
No, thrower, dude, get real.
Yeah, they both.
Yeah, it's true. Thrower really kind of threw away that rookie season with the.
I mean, look, I'm not saying that. I think the other thing you have to consider here, as much as I agree they improved, a lot of the guys they acquired did not play well.
True.
I mean, that's got a factor, right? Rodriguez had 13 points in 40 games.
It's pretty bad.
He's supposed to be like a top, he's like 600 TP guy.
Yeah. I actually think, that should.
Only about they're big improvement players that you look at when you think what are the additions to the club this season that for whatever reason, whether he drafted them in previous seasons or he acquired them free agency or trade, what are the big additions that bumped his team up this season?
John Locke,
Kronos and Locke. That's it.
Kronos and Locke. Yeah, it's clearly obviously Kronos and Locke.
Yeah.
Because even Vertanen,
I'll counter that argument by saying who are the 2 most pivotal players on Stockholm? DeGraff and Kohler, players you had on your team last season as well.
Okay,
so,
hold on.
Let
me get to this here.
Before you get
because
into this,
you want to argue that. I can argue that pretty well.
I just want to say one sentence.
Go ahead.
Need to say one sentence on top of this. Okay, I'll just say that the only reason that is a big deal to me is because we recognize the moves of acquiring Kohler and Steezy and DeGraff for his club last season when we awarded him top GM. So giving him it again.
No, I don't disagree with that statement at all.
Yeah, because there was a debate on this in one of the BOG threads previously in the award voting. Shouldn't be the top GM shouldn't win it ever. Whoever's the best team in the league and whoever wins the cup shouldn't win it ever.
Nobody ever made that argument.
Okay, here's my argument. Look, no one. I'm not saying the reason I should win is because of Kohler, is because of Snatch or DeGraff. No, the fact of the matter is no matter how good we were last year, and I think we were partially a little bit better because of how weak the rest of the league was, other than I think three other teams that were good last year, right? Helsinki, Seattle, and New York realistically were the good teams, along with Stockholm.
Yes.
So a lot of weak teams in the league. We did not play well against the strong teams at all. Stockholm did not. Now, if you look at this year, yes, okay. Quebec had in sheer numbers. I think the quality speaks more in Stockholm. Pietro Maximov, 109 points, 53 goals. Sven Wolf, 97 points. The core of the team was that top line this year, along with the graph, and 2/3 of that top line is completely new. Last year's second top scorer on Stockholm, gone. Third, gone. Our top two defensemen last year, strictly on terms of how we played them in the lines, including the top guy in TPE on our team on defense, gone. Our depth, very much. Hold on, you gotta let me play us out.
I thought you were.
So besides that, Alexander Thrower added to the team, near point per game, on as a defenseman. Last year he was a forward, so as much as I gave him a little crap for dropping him points, he did switch to defense, to be fair. On top of that, we added more depth, a different depth for sure. And in addition to all of that, if we want to ignore all of that, then you look at the fact that they were 66, 4-2. They dominated the best teams league. We, no disrespect, we manhandled New York.
Yeah.
8-0. We surrendered 9 goals.
Took a beating to a lot of the top teams in the league.
Okay, that's not an argument. Dominated New York, dominated Quebec, dominated Helsinki. How much did we dominate those teams? 8-0 against New York. We were 6-2 against Quebec, 6-1-1 against Helsinki. To me, the only other team we lost in the league of all friggin' teams was Toronto. I don't know how that happened.
Welcome to STHS. And I think Toronto might have scored 2 goals on us all season.
Yeah, other than that, we did not lose a game at all. And at the end of the day, Quebec, very, very, very good season. And I think I definitely see the argument. But at the end of the day, both teams had a lot of turnover. In my opinion, Stockholm's was a bigger turnover in the core of the team. A lot of Quebec players were added that were depth pieces. I think they added 2 really good players, but I think Stockholm's core changed greater than Quebec's did. And at the end of the day, Stockholm also outperformed them and probably should be listed as, in my opinion, the greatest season in the league history, because as good as Calgary was, and they were 69-3, season 1, they drafted a lot of the actives. That's not a shot against them, just it's a very different type of scenario. But since season 1, think about it, Scotty Campbell was a rookie that year. Since the inaugural season of the league, 10 years ago, real life years, this is the best a team has ever been. That's my argument. Yeah, I won last year, but I also had 6 guys retire on me. And people, including Hedgehog, I believe was the specific one, said Stockholm probably should rebuild. No, I added a whole bunch of players and made us that much better.
True, but I don't think you can definitely lean the angle that some people thought Stockholm should rebuild because they were losing so many pivotal pieces. But you also had the argument on the other side. It's not like it was so clear. For me, I didn't think you were going to rebuild for a second. I mean, you still had such a great core.
That's not really my point, though. My point is rather, I am saying that the perception of the team was.
I understand your argument, and I think it's fair. I'm just using this to as a way to highlight why I am selecting Quebec, because I didn't actually peg Quebec to even be first in North America heading into this season. I actually thought New York would have been better than Quebec, and it was not just Sky. It was that team, just like Stockholm in a lot of ways, kind of growing into themselves. And obviously Stockholm grew into themselves to prove to have one of the best seasons, if not the best season in the history of the league. But to me, it was less of a shocker what Stockholm was able to do than it was with Quebec, and that's a big.
You were more shocked that Stockholm became the greatest team in league history over Quebec being first.
If you were to tell me before the season that Stockholm would do this, I would say, of course they could. Look at the team, look at the roster. Even before you traded for those players.
This hasn't been done in 10 years, though.
Ryan, if you told me that, I would have said you're nuts. And I'm their GM.
Dude, I might not, just because I'm not.
66-4-2, Ryan. I thought we were going to struggle against Helsinki.
Yeah, but I'm okay. But I'm not
Much less
saying
New York.
what doesn't shock me is how much success you had. It's that you could have had that success. I believe that there was a core there that was good. They were real good. You had some of the best players in the league. Tyson Kohler, on DeGraff. Petro Maximov has a history of performing
But
really
no
well.
one looked at DeGraff as being one of the best in the league till this year.
No, that's true.
Let's
And
be real.
that
You
changes.
listed him
That
like
changes.
fourth or fifth best goalie.
I put
coming
Sky
into this
higher
year.
just based on where things were going.
Sure.
And just based on statistics, but goalies in general, it wasn't just DeGraff. A lot of goalies decided to step up, and the whole landscape changed because of that. And
I think there's going to be a good argument for both sides, and I think it will be close. But I do think there was similar turnover. I think Stockholm's turnover is bigger, and I did more in general to make my team better. Because if you want to look at it based on last year, it's fine. But how about you look at us after all our retirements, where we had 3 forwards, 2 of which were young, and really 200 TB, and I had 1 defenseman.
I'm not denying
2 if you count re-signing Klingberg
as well. Like no one said that. I wasn't saying you didn't make good moves. So.
I'm saying your comparison offsite or off this cast was that your team was really good last year, but you can't look at that. You have to look at how my team was going to the off season.
Yeah,
because that's the only way you can really truly judge the turnover.
Yeah, but
out of curiosity,
to me, that impacts my shock factor. That impacts my expectations, right? When I see a team that I think is really good, then make the moves to go from really good to outstanding or best in history. To me, that's a lot different than going fringe playoff team that wasn't a threat to.
But I wasn't really good.
They literally went from 0 to hero. You didn't. You went from 0 to great to amazing.
We weren't great though coming out of last season. We had a very, very incomplete roster, missing the majority of its top players. And we didn't have a lot of assets to go around as it was. I made it work, where I made an entirely new core. And that's my argument. That you're looking at it based off from the year before.
Now you're talking about now we're getting into the definition of words. To me, a core is a group of players signed for multiple seasons. How many seasons do you have left of Pietro? 1 more?
2 more, actually, and that's if he doesn't resign, which he plans on, he said.
Okay, so he can count, but I don't know. What about the Sven Wolf, right? Wasn't he basically one and done?
He had to retire because he was a GM player.
That's not a core player. That's an acquisition, right? You had core players. Xander Finn, Brock Dragonslayer, Rhett DeGraff, Tyson Kohler.
The core of a team, to me, is always the players you build around on that team for that season.
You did build around them
on that team,
and then again this season by complimenting them. That's what I see. To me, you complimented your core this season to make the greatest team. You still had many of that core from last season, and
the players we acquired accomplished a lot more than Quebec's. Are you going to argue that?
No, but some of your notable performers also accomplished a lot from last season, like DeGraff,
like Sky, like Mueller, like a lot of their players.
Real quick, guys.
Like Sky,
but for me the difference is you've already got your due for building that team. Frank hasn't got his. If a lot of those players were just as good as they were last year.
Hold on. Last year he had Mueller, Godet, Jokinen. Who are we arguing that all his 400 TP inactives who are going to retire after this year? Because if you're arguing, if you're not going to argue Sven Wolf should be allowed in this conversation of core. Then neither should about 90% of that.
Who said should be allowed? I was just saying that
the only guy they added that really is a core piece is John Locke. I will agree with that. He's 100% a core piece.
Who said you have to acquire?
And I'll throw in Fukiu, who had a 40-point season.
Who said you have to acquire core pieces to be top GM?
Top GM is about who did the best at improving their team from where they stood at the end of the previous season. That is,
but I don't vote like that. That's not how I vote on it.
But then you're not voting on how the award is supposed to be based on.
I disagree. We talked about this earlier in the cast with John Locke. If a player shows up to a team that was drafted or built through the team seasons ago, but didn't show up till now, I'm going to judge the acquisition then.
And off season, which is why he counts in that conversation, Ryan.
I would have.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm only counting.
I'm talking strictly the main roster. Who has played for that team? Who is still on that team at the end of last season? That's where you start. What they add from there is the additions.
We've already started from there. And you've already listed your acquisitions and why you think they're better. But from a comparison standpoint, you have that argument. I'm not even saying anything about that argument.
Why do you think
I'm
Quebec
saying at the end of the day, to me, I never said Quebec did better. Why did
No,
Quebec
I'm
have to
asking,
do
why do
better?
you think Quebec did better this year than they did the year before?
Why do I think they did better? Because their core matured.
Yeah.
Because they became the team that they can
So their
be.
core matured that
And
they
they
already
had-
had last year?
Yeah. Oh, some of it.
Okay, so you were using the guys they had
never
on
got,
last year
but Frank never
as a
got due
reason
for that.
why he
Frank
should.
never got due for that. You've
It
already
doesn't
got
matter.
due
Agree
for
this
that.
year, though, Ryan. Okay,
That's
so
not
like,
how that
I-
award works.
guys, I want to
don't
make sure that I understand the argument here. Just may I? I'm gonna just. Do you agree with this statement? Yes or no, Ryan? If a team drafts a whole bunch of players this year and they all play like garbage, and next year they all have a breakout, do you think that team is considered for top GM? Because that was like all of them played on the roster and they all played like garbage and they're the worst team in the league, and then all of them suddenly just pop off.
Set the expectations for me. Set the expectations for me.
You expected them to do garbage because they were all garbage last year.
Okay, team-wise, how did the team do?
Garbage.
So they were the worst team in the league.
Sure, yeah, I'm going with the very extremes. Just try to.
If you want to go with the very extreme, then I would absolutely give top GM to it. If a GM made 0 moves in the offseason and he drafted, let's just assume a whole team. Let's assume, if you want to go the extreme, in season 53 he had 12 draft picks and he drafts 6 forwards, 4 defensemen, and 2 goalies. Literally gets it all, and they literally all suck. And then the next season, they're the best team in the league and win the Victory Cup. I'm giving that person top GM 100% because they put faith in a core that initially didn't pay off, and then it eventually did. Those moves eventually mattered. Okay. And they eventually made a difference.
Okay, so if we're agreeing with that,
real quick,
then you have to include Snatch and Finn, then, right?
Yes,
theoretically, and DeGraff as well for his 25 points.
And remember, I'm not denying that your team did better.
I agree. I'm not saying
your team.
I'm not saying you're not, Ryan. But I'm asking,
for me, the gap is bigger for
Quebec. Do you
guys,
consider DeGraff now part of this then?
Sure.
Because technically he was shit last year, and therefore this is his breakout year.
Hang on, guys, you're both talking over each other real quick. So,
but this isn't about just DeGraff. It's about a GM. You acquired DeGraff well previously, and
I'm sorry, the whole Quebec core you just agreed improved was acquired very, very.
But to be fair, you're totally taking what I'm saying and implying the wrong context. Because
I'm not. They're the exact same.
Chris, hang on. Chris, let me finish.
Let me just state what I was saying. Sorry. Okay. I wasn't stating when I responded to that DeGraff should be disqualified because you drafted him previously. That's not what I was stating.
Mm-hmm.
I was stating you've already gotten recognition for drafting DeGraff last season.
He had a 908 save percentage. He had nothing to do with us winning last year.
GM last season, I voted for the team you built.
Okay, hang on. So I want to make sure that I understand
that it was going to be good, not just for then, but for future seasons. That's how I saw it.
So what I want to make sure,
not just a good core, but a good team. That's what I felt last season. That's what I voted for.
I want to make sure I understand your argument.
This season, you did more of that, but you didn't improve in terms of the gap, as big expectation-wise to me as Quebec did. That's why I lean Frank.
Ryan, I want to make sure I understand. I want to make sure I understand your argument. So I'm again going to go to an extreme. So if a guy wins top GM, you already consider every one of the players he previously had on his team. So going back to that same exact scenario, let's say instead of one guy doing that, there's 2 guys. Both guys have, like in season 53, draft whole brand new teams, and they all suck. They tie for 0 points in season 53. In season 54, they both start to do very well. One guy obviously has to win over the other, right?
I know exactly how you're going to finish this.
Yeah, and then but I'll state it for the rest of the league.
One gets a Victory Cup and one doesn't, but one is second. But they're good.
Yes.
Who would I lean with? Obviously, I'd lean with the person who gets the Victory Cup.
That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying in season 50, like in the following season, they both do exactly the same. Would you then say that it has to go to the second team because you've already recognized all the players on the first team? Is that what you're saying?
Well, first of all, I'm not using how well you built your team in the past as a de facto, like this is my only determining factor. I also heavily consider moves made during the season. But when things, as Chris has pointed out, are so close, right? They both had, Chris talks about how they both had turnover and they both had to handle it. And I agree. They both had to handle it, and I agree. Stockholm handled it better. That's why they had more points. That's why they almost had
What I'm trying to ask you,
the best season in history.
What I'm trying to ask you is, because Chris won top GM last year, are you saying that every player who played for his roster, even if they were garbage last year, you don't consider them towards this year, and you do with Frank's because he hasn't gotten them?
I don't unconsider, or it's not like I'm not considering those players. It's just, to me, it's like, when did the GM build this core? Like, how much did this past season, not just the moves, but like the players specifically, like transform to make it like, well, this is the team. And you're right, DeGraff did have a very transformative season, but just overall, from a team perspective, from an expectations perspective, I thought Stockholm was the top team in Europe this year before the season started. And they ended up going above and beyond.
So
they
what
ended
we
up going from my opinion, the top team in Europe to the top team in the league. Whereas Quebec, to me, I didn't even think they were going to be better than New York, and they were second to the best team in history.
You're all about the shock factor, correct?
Only right now.
The reason you're voting for them is because you didn't expect them to finish out in New York.
But
right?
I'll note that if you didn't win the top GM last year, I'd absolutely think that what you built deserved more recognition. Because keep in mind, as GMs now, we're not just building a team for one season. We've seen it with Toronto, right? Okay. When Moholt won GM of the year 3 seasons in a row, and everyone's like, that probably shouldn't happen. Most of his team he built like for this run. And it's like, so are we recognizing that run? And I felt that both of you did enough to say this is about recognizing both runs, not just the past, but the future, the moves made this season as well as the moves made in previous season.
Here's the thing.
Is Frank never been acknowledged for what he built, and now what he built is really starting to turn into something special. As is yours, but we already kind of, as I said,
I get where you're coming from, but I think you are completely, and maybe not intentionally, but you are kind of skipping over the fact that the entire youth of the whole Vikings team last year that struggled for much of the year has improved greatly this year.
That's true. That's true.
About 5 of them did, including DeGraff. DeGraff, of course, 908 save percentage last year. He was almost as bad as Moon was last year. And people don't realize that.
But I mean,
yet here he
opened his mouth. That's why.
But I mean, top GM, right? Top GM isn't just look at the stats. What players were acquired this season?
Hold on. You didn't really let me finish there. The only guy. Hold on. The only guy.
We gave you a lot of time.
Yeah, I gave you a ton of time, and I didn't talk over you.
I wasn't actually arguing your point. I just wanted to make a side.
Okay, but just stop talking for a minute, please, so I can get.
I was going to give you time.
You hate it when people cut you off. Now let me say what I want to say.
Order.
No, stop.
Actually, nothing to do with it.
Okay, the only player on the Vikings who played as well as they did this year, last year, as they did this year, is Tyson Kohler. The rest of that team should be considered a complete improvement, or somebody who's brought in brand new to help the team improve. That means only one player. There's a significant part of Quebec who was either an insignificant player this year, and by that I mean like Koprokov for Stockholm,
Smegeldorf,
or no, that's Helsinki.
Or I mixed up my teams for a second. I'm sorry.
Yeah, or was very much in the same situation as a guy like Finn, let's say, who improved by about 20 points, kind of like Mueller did, or I think Jokinen was about around the same, if I remember correctly. But my point is, if you're looking at last year's team and you're not going to give, and that's fine if you don't get Stockholm, it's your it's your opinion, that's fine. But if you're looking at it like you already celebrated the team last year, or rewarded, as you put it, the team.
But it's not.
Don't you kind of have to hold on? Don't you kind of have to consider the fact that only one player on this year's team actually played about the same as it did the year before? Everyone else improved or was an acquisition.
Okay, so top GM to me isn't just stats. It's always not just did that team make good moves for the team in one season, but did that team make good moves for the franchise? And is that what we're rewarding? And that's how I view it. And I stated that previously. So Stockholm, you're right. Your core players did have magnificent improvements. We talked about DeGraff. We talked about Finn. Dragonslayer a little less so, but he still did better.
He was so bad.
He improved by 38 points. So
he improved bigger than Finn did, but it was just so bad last year.
He was Logan-like almost bad last year.
Yeah.
But for me, because we acknowledged you last season, when I made, and I said this when I made
acknowledged one player last season.
No, I wasn't acknowledged. No players are acknowledged. I'm acknowledging you as GM for building a competent franchise for now and the future. You made moves to build a team. The fact that those
6 of my guys retired
only justifies that I picked the right top GM last season for all the moves made, right?
So you're saying you only vote top GM on guys you've never voted for. Gotcha. That's the only way to judge your work. No, hold on. MVP.
If it wasn't,
so top goalie can't be Holik.
No. I never said
Every
that.
award can't be the same.
Chris, this is a little bit
we have to
unfair.
award guys
Yeah, I never
on
said
their
that
new
even
season,
remotely.
because that's pretty much what you are saying. Because if you're saying that, okay, you built a team for the future, and now here you go, you made all these great moves, all these new acquisitions, but I voted for you for about four guys who are still on the team.
But now you're basically putting it so defensive that you're basically
I'm
coming
not.
across like I'm trying to state that you don't belong on the ballot. If it wasn't so
I'm not-
close,
I
it would
know
be a
you're not
different
arguing
story.
that.
If Quebec wasn't
My
better than
argument
New
is-
York this season, you'd win it in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
If Quebec had 50 less points, I wouldn't even be considering them. The only reason that your last season and the fact that you won it before even factors is because it's such a close decision for me. That's it.
The issue that we run
I'm
into
saying it's
is
a
that
small factor, like the whole idea of rewarding the GM previously and the whole idea of the moves that they've made, kind of building towards a franchise. I don't consider that. Like I said, it's not the deciding factor. If one GM this season would have made a move this season at the deadline that took their team from last to in the playoffs, they would be probably one of my top GM considerations, because that's a direct example of a move happening this season that they exactly made that completely changed their fortunes to an extreme degree, right? That's obviously completely what this award is about. It's about rewarding an aspect of that. But because we don't have any of those candidates, and because the two candidates are so close, that is why I put in that determination factor.
right. So I think
I'm not trying to say that again that like to me I think it's a little silly to say just because we had the best season of all time that has to mean top GM.
it doesn't have to be top GM, but I think that with the
that's
changes
where that exactly. I do think that it's a part of the conversation, though. I do think it is a part of the conversation.
Right. So I think that where we run into is that I think that Chris and I have a fairly similar criteria, which, correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, when I'm saying this, but the way that I look at it is that you go to a point in time where it's, okay, this is the team that I have now that all the other retirements have happened. So if you're going to use Stockholm as an example, the only players that you still have left over on that team are Kohler. I won't even say Klingberg, because I believe we had to re-sign him during free agency. So that comes back. Kohler, I think, had signed multiple years previously. But the way we look at it, yeah.
I had to re-sign Kohler.
Oh, did you? Okay. Yeah.
Well, I had to opt in, and then I had to sign him. But I had to,
Right, but I think that
doesn't count. That's fine. I'm not.
Yeah, I wouldn't say Kohler, but Klingberg went to free agency and you got him back, didn't he? Or am I
very simple? What GM did the most to help team improve?
Yeah, like the way that I look at it there is that like we would have been
that Quebec made is still bigger than the improvement Stockholm made.
I think that with the changes that Quebec,
why I think
Quebec still would have been second best in their conference without making the improvements they did. I think that we barely make it into the playoffs if we didn't make the changes that we did.
Well, I mean, I don't know, because each team probably would have made lesser changes, right? Because it's not like they'd make none.
Right,
and that's the thing, because unless a rebuild happens, at which point we're not talking about this at all, right? So
I think the problem I have with your opinion, Ryan, is that you're
actually going to a rebuilding team.
It comes off, the way you talk about it comes off like you're comparing the team this year to the team last year. Okay, don't interrupt me, because I know you're about to. But
no,
I think you just did. So if you're looking at from the team last year to the team this year, that's not the proper way to look at it. Though the proper way, in my opinion, to look at it is the team after retirements, all that, because otherwise you can't really judge it properly.
Yeah. Players going to free agency would be in the same category.
It's easy to look at points and say my team didn't.
My argument is
just fuck.
Guys,
you took a long enough pause that I thought you had stopped, man.
I didn't take a pause.
I heard a pause. My apologies. Chill.
What I'm saying is, it's easy to look at points total, and I know you're not necessarily just looking at that. I know you're going to say that. It's easy to look at the standings and strictly look at that year to year. But the team that had 100 and actually I had like 94 points last year. The team that had that point total last year is, for the most part, not even in the league anymore. The entire team that put up 134 points, I think it was this year, the majority of that team either were scrubs last year or weren't on the team last year. That's my simple argument, is that there were more moves made to make that team competitive than Quebec made, and I think they had a bigger impact as well on top of that. And I think you also have to consider the fact that the youth being improved this year on Stockholm, and in Quebec's case too, stems partially around the players that were added to that team. For example, Stockholm adding Maximov and Wolf really, I think, helped improve the rest of that team's offensively as well. And at the same time, potentially defensively because of how good they come back as well.
That's not accurate. Like from a numbers perspective, how many players on Stockholm are new players from a numbers perspective? Because that's what you just
6.
said, right? So half the team. So literally, it's not more or less. It's half and half.
Okay.
So who is all new? Who's all new?
On which team?
Maximov, Wolf, Thrower, Kopelkov.
That's 4.
Technically, I mean, if you want to argue Dragon Slayer, because he really wasn't on the team. I mean, he was, but he wasn't.
He was. He was your GM player, so it was expected that he was on the team. It's not like that was a move. Everyone knew you'd get your GM player.
Yeah. I would argue for Klingberg, too, because that dude went to free agency and came back.
I'm not sure if he did go to free agency. I can't remember.
Okay, maybe not then. I thought he did.
I can't remember. There were a few. There was a lot of guys. I only had like 5 players at the end of the season.
The players added, especially Wolf and Maximov.
Sorry, when I said 6, I meant 6 retirements. Is what I meant to say.
And then you filled in the pieces with what was left, and that was a good. And you did it well. No one's saying.
And added significant pieces on top of that.
I mean,
more significant pieces than Quebec even came close to adding. If we're being honest,
your trade deadline pieces were more significant, but we're only going to be able to.
I didn't make a move at the trade deadline, Ryan.
And this isn't a playoff.
I made those moves for the whole season.
You know what I meant. I didn't mean trade. There was no move. Was there even a move at the trade deadline? I don't think so.
Quebec made one, I think, actually.
I think that three-way happened.
I think they added for Cannon.
Also, I think that all happened like 2 days before the deadline. I don't think there was actually a deadline.
I would still call that trade deadline. It's the same fucking.
We're gonna move on. We're gonna move on to the next award.
Oh right, we were doing other awards. I forgot.
Yeah. Best two-way forward.
Petness, maybe. Like he hit a lot, and
that's a D though.
It's a defenseman.
Fucking fine then.
I mean, if you want to argue it, I guess we'll open to listen.
Yeah, guys, I didn't get a chance to talk. So, yeah, I think that
it's really not even an argument, is it?
I actually don't know who.
Theo Axelson. Sure. 98 points, 300 and something hits.
Sure. Almost somebody had better than that.
63 hits. He was third in hits. The 2 guys that him were defensemen, and he also had nearly 100 points.
100, yeah. 363 hits.
Shut case, in my opinion.
Yep. I was trying to think who else would even stand a chance. Maybe.
It's probably.
No. Unassisted Earl Maxwell didn't have even close to the hits to justify. No. I was trying to think.
No.
I knew one season one of them had over 200 hits, so I was like, oh, maybe, but no.
Theo Axelson.
Right. Theo Axelson is who we think. We'll see when the voting comes up. Top rookie. This is an interesting one. Was there a rookie goalie this season? I thought there was.
There were 2, and they both had ridiculous years.
Yeah.
Actually, there was technically 3.
Marcus King and Jacob, right?
Yeah. Inside's one as well, but he didn't
have as good of a season. Jacob had a 928 save percentage. Marcus King had 925.
I'm torn. I don't like giving it to the.
Both had 294 save percentage. Marcus King had 280, which isn't bad, but he had a worse save percentage. And then, of course, there is John Locke, which I think he's obviously on the ballot. 87 points in his rookie season.
Nobody from Calgary, Ryan? Are you not trusting the process?
I mean, Jacob, but his save percentage is so bad. Or sorry, his goals against is so bad.
It's pretty bad.
294.
Yeah, well, he did better than Cal G1, though.
That's true. That's ironic is that Torstein actually has the best goals against of the 3 rookie goalies, but the worst save percentage.
Yeah, well, pimping ain't easy.
Yep. Pimping ain't easy, man. All right. Looks like we're torn on that one, but probably lock, guys, you think? Tough.
I think he's a lock. I don't actually think he's a lock.
I think I'll vote for him, but I think that's going to be a highly debated one because there's very rarely do goalies ever have even close to those numbers as rookies.
Yeah.
I think there's been several who have won with around a 913, 914 save percentage. So to have 928, which is usually in the conversation for Shaw.
I won Rookie of the Year with.
He's only 5 points back
with 912. So, but that was just a bad year for rookies.
Yeah, it was a really bad year for rookies, if I remember correctly. Like, really bad year for rookies.
Well, people also were like, well, wins. And I was just like, I was on a team that ended up winning the cup this year. And I was like, my team won those games, guys. Just saying.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that if a team wins games 6-5, that the goalie is not the reason they won those games.
It's like, well, yeah, but he had a good save percentage. They should, there was 50 shots on net. Like that doesn't matter. No, that's not actually that good either. It's only 900.
No, that's
top goalie.
DeGraff. Everyone had really good stats, but DeGraff was slightly better than everyone else in every category. So it's like,
except for shutouts. Yeah.
Except for shutouts.
But the majority of those.
Edgar's
shutouts.
First of all, I'm putting shutouts under contest. There's an asterisk next to them because one of those guys had played 65 games, and one of those he actually should have 19. So
I would like to see the stats, but I would bet you big money that Jacob Pollock, Astrid Moon, and Apollo Sky, all three players who had more shutouts than Rhett DeGrath, and I'd even say this about Rhett DeGrath. The majority of their shutouts all came against weak teams. In fact, all of them. For whatever reason this year, when you played Toronto, when you played Cologne, etc.
I actually don't think you're right about that.
Shots. I know for a fact for Halik.
I'm pretty sure we shut out New York and
you know how I know that it is the case for Halik? Because we played like shit against every good team. So there's no way that we could have played good if we had
that's true.
Or played like shit. So I know that.
What about MC Power though, Ryan?
His 5 shutouts came against bad teams.
Oh, right. Sorry, I thought you played him against good teams, but you played him against bad teams so that Halik wouldn't have to let in the one.
Well, I was going to play more, but then eventually Halik was playing so good against bad teams. He was just getting shutouts against Seattle and stuff. So it's just like, if he's just going to stop all 8 shots and get another shutout, I might as well just keep playing him.
Let him have the stat, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, let's just let him.
Halik, the undisputed highest shutouts in 64 games played of any player or of any goalie in the league, with no asterisk next to it. Yes, this season.
I thought it was going to be higher for Halik because he opened with 5, if you guys remember.
I do. I remember that. Crazy. Yeah. And then didn't like Power sneak one in there at the same time, and I was like, oh,
yeah, I know. And then I played Power one game, and he just it's like, oh, New York's not going to give up goals this season.
No, New York was going to have 0 goals against. Set a record.
To be fair, our goals against were pretty low, as were your guys's. Like historically, both of us kind of had crazy seasons.
Yeah, we won the whole thing actually.
From that perspective, you guys obviously had crazy from the.
I believe DeGraff had 3 shutouts. And 3, I believe, against Helsinki as well.
Okay, so 6 of his came against
6 of his
more
came
notable teams.
That's pretty
good. But considering the offense of the other competing teams, I would argue that the other goalies, for sure, probably had more of them against. I know what Halik did for a fact, and I'm pretty sure you guys had a great record against Astrid Moon, and you guys had a great record against Quebec.
Who did we not have a good record against?
Yeah, so no matter what, those guys weren't getting shutouts against you. So,
no.
Yeah. And they're the ones ahead of him. So, yeah, lots of shutouts, but lots of shit.
I think at the end of the day, he's just
not getting goals.
Like Kyle said, he's just slightly better than every statistic. And then you have the wins, which I know is not really a great stat, but if it's close, usually a lot of people will just go with the guy like Halik last year had the wins, right? That was the reason why he won top goalie. Because I mean, at the end of the day, he's tied with Sky for save percentage. He set the record for goals against average. So he's actually a decent lead in that.
By the way, we'll see.
Obviously, first to wins. I mean, that's obvious. And even shutouts, like he's technically 4th, but he finished 4 back of the lead. Which to be fair, Halik and Moon definitely had piled on those shutouts. So I mean, but I don't think that's the determining factor in this. I really don't. So,
no, I
mean,
Edgar's voting. To be fair, we'll state that it was close going to the end of the season, like the last 5 games.
I think DeGraff's last 5 games pretty much, like Sky, I think dropped a bit, and DeGraff improved a bit, and that kind of.
And Halik was at 934 to start for much of near the end of the season. Given the shutouts, it actually looked like if Halik had finished with a higher save percentage, that it would have been a way tough for argument at this point. We all were wondering how tough it was actually going to be, because if one person finished in goals against, but another person finished in save percentage, but another person finished in wins, and another person finished in shutouts, you're sitting there going, who are we giving this to, guys?
Yeah, because they were all super good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
they were.
It was just that.
Look, for the record, Rhett DeGraff is tied with Sky for save percentage. He actually leads with a tie, right? There is Sky and DeGraff both had a 933 save percentage.
Mm-hmm.
DeGraff had the better goals against average, which is a big reason why ultimately they're tied. So you're going to have to look at the next best statistic, right? So
yeah, no, for sure.
And then keep going down that chain of looking at the next best statistic, and really the only statistic other than
shutouts
is shutouts, right? That's all that Sky has on him, and he doesn't even have the most in the league, right? So then you go down the process. DeGraff is the likeliest candidate to win that award. Top D.
Probably digital.
You really going to go digital?
No.
He didn't even lead all D in points. I mean, there is something impressive about
0 goals.
Basically being 6 points away from Black Velvet, who probably wins top D, maybe. Or is it Kronos? I don't know. Do you guys think Guntis actually has a chance at it? He did lead in hits and points, and he had 39 goals.
I mean, yes, he does have a chance at it.
Yeah, but he wasn't. Listen, none of his hits were defensive, were they?
Ryan, all of them were defensive. His team never had the puck, except for when
Chris,
he
did
scored.
we lose Chris here?
We may have lost Chris. His connection was getting a little janky towards the end.
Okay. I don't know. Who do you think? Top D? I'm thinking about it.
I really could see it going towards Guntis. Guntis.
I'm curious right now about his plus minus. Oh, he's a plus player too. Damn, I can't even say that he was on the ice for long.
Hedgehog has some dumb fucking names for his players too. Can we just
plus player? How did Riga do what they did this season?
Because they just shit on Davos.
But Chris just dropped completely.
His computer just turns off sometimes on him. To be fair, he didn't I don't think he rage quit. There were way more heated moments if he was.
No, well, we were like past that point.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, top
For the record, I was very impressed that you kept your composure even after Chris got a little bit ridiculous at certain points. I was because it was heated. I didn't think it was going to happen. You do tend to jump in and cut people off a lot, which I understood.
Yes, but I was trying to make. We're on a cast. I was trying to make a side point while he was going, and I saw a pause to quickly make that side point while the thought.
Oh no, I just mean in general.
I knew if he would have continued to talk, I wouldn't have made that side point. I would
have. No, exactly. You would have lost it. So. Yeah, for sure. That happens to me all the time.
There's a little moment where I can interject, and he just took it like, stop trying to argue. And I was like, I'm not actually arguing with what you're saying right now. I just wanted to make a side point about something you were saying. It was actually in agreement, but it's like, I'm not on a cast. I'm debating. It's like, actually, no.
Yeah, no, but he had been sitting quietly for like 4 minutes while it was just you answering, like me trying to clarify your statements and answering them or whatever. So like, essentially that's all you time, right? Because I was just trying to rephrase.
Let's keep going here.
Keep going? Yeah, sure.
Let's wrap this up. Yeah.
Guntis. Sorry. Fuck that guy.
I don't know. I could see it being also any of the Kronos also has a legit argument. How many hits did Kronos have on Quebec? 37 hits.
Not so good. Not Kronos.
Yeah. Wow. More points, but 37 hits. Well, not more points than Guntis. I don't think.
Tied. Equal points, less goals.
Yeah. That makes me then wonder, what about Black Velvet?
86 points. How many hits?
229.
Which is less than
85 shots blocked. It's all the shot blocks are less, but obviously Guntis on a rebuilding team. But the team wasn't really rebuilding because they made the playoffs. And
I don't really count Riga as a rebuilding team. I count them as a weird.
And then you actually have to start wondering about Bobby Digital. Less points, 266 hits, 125 shot blocks. Like, he had a pretty good stat line for a defenseman.
He did.
His hits and shot blocks were high.
Yeah.
Granted.
I think it goes Guntis.
Digital was the only defenseman to block shots, so.
Yeah. Hey, you're not giving enough credit to NYAD2, Ryan.
Also, Digital had definitely led us all in minutes per game, by the way. But anyway,
well,
it could be. I don't know. I think Gutton is probably just based on the fact that everyone else kind of wasn't as good defensively or offensively.
Yeah.
I mean, some of his stats have to be taken at face value, right?
Yes.
At the same time, it's hard not to lean him.
No.
What about someone like Snatch or Jokinen? Digital's actually behind them from a points perspective. What are their hits like?
Snatch and Jokinen? Let's take a look. Shots blocked were probably terrible because we had the puck the whole time. Holy shit. Helsinki D4, who played for Calgary, had the 10th most shot blocks in the league, by the way.
Okay. They're just letting everyone else CPU players play on other teams, but they won't let ours.
Yeah, this is fucking bullshit. Fuck you, Will.
Tyranny needs to end.
It's absolutely. Right. Yeah, how does that happen? And how does that? I mean, you can't say that guy didn't have an impact on his team, right? Like 100, he had the most shot blocks on his team. He led his team in shot blocks. Chris, did you know that 10th most shot blocks in the league was Helsinki D4 for Calgary? Ryan was just saying he was outraged that we can't trade goalies.
Yeah, we're just on top D, and we think that Guntis probably, but it's like some of the stats aren't. Riga wasn't rebuilding, but he's really one of their only players, so he was stat padding. So it's like, I don't know, but really no one else. Really no one else.
Oh, I'm sorry. He didn't have the most in his team. Travis Gowekny. Trust the process. Travis had 140 to Helsinki D4, 125. So he's second on his team. My bad.
Second in his team.
Behind Trust the Process Travis, which probably fucking led his team in literally every stat.
That's top D. This has been a long cast. We've been slogging here. Okay.
Yeah.
So we can't really decide anything else at this point other than MVP.
Yeah. Helsinki D4 is good.
We can get global thoughts too. So I guess let's do that. MVP guys, who do you think?
Trust the Process Travis. The team would have been even further in 10th place without him.
Curious on this one. Guntis has a little argument. Okay, let's first decide who we think. We were going to do this before, and we always do this. Who we think the MVP is from each of the competing teams. Okay. So, I think Chris nailed it on the money that unassisted. Rhett de Graaf is the Stockholm Vikings MVP. Everyone.
Yes. Yep.
Agree with that?
Yes, I agree with that. It's either him or Kohler, and I think it's him.
I mean, broke the save percentage record for sure.
Broke the goals against average record.
Or sorry,
not even close to save percentage.
Yeah, I know. I meant to say goals against. My brain is just. I
don't know if I agree with that.
Chris, you're the one who said it earlier.
Actually initiated that conversation.
Well, I made a quick comment, but when you actually look into it,
I believe the quick comment was unassisted. Or sorry,
when you actually look into it.
Okay.
54 goals. I mean, that's a very high year in terms of points for how low it was overall. He had 13 game winners, 4 tying goals, 16 first stars is me, and I do actually consider that part of my voting.
I look at it for sure. Yeah, you have to.
I haven't, to be honest, but
if you want to compare them, 16 first stars for Kohler, 6 for de Graaf.
That's true.
6 second stars for Kohler, 4 for de Graaf. I mean, to me, the argument against de Graaf is while he was very, very good, so was that defense and so was that offense that had led the league in goals. Either way, I don't think either one of them's going to win it.
Yeah, that's fair.
But we're just looking
kind
at
of think Kohler is the true MVP for the simple reason that if you actually look at everything all together, and consider that a lot of the players on that team were not even close to 100. They were the 70 to 80 point range. He really ran that offense. So for me, it's Kohler, actually.
Yeah, I don't think it really matters. I don't think that Stockholm has an MVP.
Yeah,
I think they had too much going for them to.
Yeah,
give
I don't think anyone will.
We concur on both points. We said de Graaf. I was going to say unassisted again. That's the project too. It's got me fried. All right, so let's move on to the MVP of Helsinki.
Asterisks Boone.
Axelson, maybe?
No.
It's one of those two.
It's Moon.
Is it Moon? What about
it's Moon?
What about Rudolf Schmeckeldorf?
I mean,
the Helsinki Titans were 5th in goals this year.
Yeah, but Axelson was a standout. 52 goals, 98 points, 363 hits.
He had a very good year.
Yeah. Moon is a
very good year.
You're right. Like, obviously, it is between Moon and him.
Hang on. There's one thing I think you should consider, though. Positional, first stars. Right? Everybody had good goalies. So it's like, does
Axelson's a very good
Chris is right.
Candidate. They're both very good candidates. That's the problem.
Kyle, if everyone had good goalies, then it was even that much more pivotal that Moon wasn't as bad as he was last season. And
no, but it's not greater than compared to last season. It's just how did he do this season?
Who said I was comparing it to last season?
No, you said
if everyone had good goalies, that means Moon had the impression that he was going to be bad. So if it wasn't for him being as great as he was, are they a playoff team? We don't even know.
Look, people can look at my opinion and say, look, well, Axelson had 18 first stars. Yeah, I mean, but the difference between Helsinki and Stockholm is Helsinki was 5th in the league in goals for.
Yeah.
They really needed that.
Because the rest of his team fucking sucked at scoring.
Riga scored more goals than Helsinki. But keep in mind, Helsinki gave up 60 less goals. The fact that they gave up so little goals was pivotal to them. They, like I said, they could even be 3rd in the conference if it wasn't for that.
You can make a candidate. I also think it's fair to say that
what goal he played 65 games, man. What a stud.
No, you know what? He's disqualified because of it. It's got to be Axelson.
All right.
Or if we put him there, we have to put an asterisk.
we'll move on to Riga. Obviously, Guntis.
Petness. No, if anyone else argues it, I'm coming to your place and slapping you in the face with my dick.
What? Oh God.
Well, you don't disagree.
So
Ryan.
I mean,
worry about.
I mean, that's
that Kopakov though, man.
But he came in at the deadline,
or maybe Oslo G.
Oslo G. Toronto.
Wait, there's a VHL defenseman on their team. What the fuck? Goalie.
We're the ones who cause all the problems, Kyle. Apparently. Toronto.
Fuck Toronto.
Roman Sokolov, also underrated Rookie of the Year candidate right there. Everyone. Probably not going to win it. As a defenseman in his first season.
No, it's not bad. Minus 45. Well, that team does suck though.
228 hits though.
What about Kylo? He's a Sith Lord.
Ryan. Lord, come on. Emos don't get to be called lords.
You have
to sing in auto-tunes to be lord.
Ironside's got a case on this one.
Emos don't get to be called masters, Ryan. We learned that from the prequels, but they can still be called lords.
Do they keep the high ground?
He didn't keep the high ground. That's why he lost. Are you kidding me?
So Toronto's probably Ironside, right?
I leaned Ironside. Sokolov was good too, though.
Yeah. Ironside didn't suck. He looked bad because everyone else was so good.
Had some really good games.
Quebec. Sky. That's what I think. I mean, but here's the ironic thing too. I don't know if you guys saw this. Encarnacion and Sky have the exact same save percentage in goals against.
So it's Encarnacion. Like he's
despite
just
the fact that Encarnacion only played 9 games. What are the odds of that happening?
Why did he get a 9th game? This is bullshit.
Also, why does every team now have 2 goalies? What is happening to
Project
the league?
2, Ryan? Project
I don't.
Also, Kyle, didn't we tell Chris that this would eventually happen? He's like, people aren't just going to start acquiring. Everyone
Ryan,
is doing it.
It wasn't just the same save percentage. They also had the same goals against average.
I know. They literally had the same stats, basically.
What the shit? Hang on. I want to divide down his win to loss
Statistically,
percentage.
you would score the exact same amount on Quebec per year, regardless of what their goalies are doing.
Ryan, to answer your point where you said I said it wouldn't happen, I said I wouldn't conform to that.
That's true.
That's
true.
Said.
That's fair.
I didn't deny it was going to happen.
Okay, Ryan.
Of course, people create.
Ryan.
It was just obviously 2.
This is even closer. This is even crazier. So, Encarnacion or 3 Encarnacion had a 7-1 win to loss ratio, right? With 7 wins to 1 losses. If you take away overtime losses and you divide down 52 into 8, 6.5. Pretty close. But 3 Encarnacion is a slightly better goalie. And if you include overtime losses, it actually hurts his case.
I also need to state here and now that I'm so happy that Empty Power could win the battle of the backups and be the best backup.
Yeah, go suck a dick, 3 Encarnacion.
That's right. You thought you would be the best backup. You played 1 more game than me too, and I'm still more better than you. That's right, more better. I don't need the language.
Boy, did you grow up in Canada? Because
I did.
Don't to that American education system.
No, Chris, the Canadian one's worse. We've never even seen anything in our lives that are better than the American education
to be fair,
system.
Well, that's what I said. You need a dose of it.
I would actually legit say that anyone in most of our countries making fun of American education, not Europe, some places in Europe, but is kind of hypocritical because we do just as much shitty standardized testing and other garbage that they do.
Sure we do. So. Our post-secondary doesn't cost $1 billion.
That's true. You're right. We also recognize that people shouldn't spend excess amounts of money on shit education. If they're going to get it anyway, they might as well get it for free.
Yeah. Also, that's not the only way we educate ourselves. We learn about the world because we look outside of our own little echo chambers. We just circle jerk each other here.
Well, I don't want to get too deep into this in this cast, but I'll just say that there is a
philosophy.
I don't live in America perspective where if you were to live in America, you actually don't understand the influence that American culture has on the world and how much everyone else has had to learn about America because of the influence of American culture. Like you don't get that impression.
Like you put an accent every time you say America.
America.
Listen, I'm Ryan W.
Ryan W. Power.
Come on down.
What's the W stand for? United States of America. W stands for winner number 1.
Quebec. MVP of Quebec, everyone.
Encarnacion.
So even an argument.
Sky. You're going to say Sky. I'm going to say Sky too. I mean, you could look at Mueller, right? Could you?
You could.
He was first star like 12 times, as was Gaudette.
I mean, I think the fact is forwards are always going to be higher on that.
Sky was actually only first star 6 times.
Yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, forwards are going to be higher on the whole first
star. You have to get like a
thing.
shout out to get first star almost every.
It's just the reality, and that's I know it's again sounds hypocritical, but at the same time, again, Quebec's offense isn't that far off, I guess, Stockholm, but At the end of the day, I just didn't think any of their players stuck out like Kohler did. Like Mueller had 7 more points, and he had less goals and Gaudette.
So we'll say Sky, and then for New York,
it's tough.
For New York, I'd say Maxwell. I mean,
Bobby Digital. If you don't have him on your team, you're out of fucking defenseman, Ryan.
Mueller and Gaudette both had 6 or less game-winning goals, and that's kind of actually pretty low for guys who contributed that much offensively.
Yeah, that's true.
Ryan,
but yeah, I'm going to say
valuable to your team. Bobby Digital was the only defenseman on the team. Without him, you're playing NYA D1 and 2 instead of just NYA D1. Think about it. Trust the process.
And all my NYE players, other than NYC2, are plus players. NYA D3 plus 44.
Yeah, because he got fucking carried by Bobby fucking Digital.
No, he got carried by Diana Maxwell 60 goals. That's what. When you're on the ice, you get a plus for that. Maxwell will score with no defense.
Yeah, you know what when they get you know what?
Keep in mind, too, Maxwell will score with no defenseman against Cologne and Seattle and
Toronto. Block all those shots.
And all the teams that suck, we scored lots against them, 8-0. We were like the weirdest team of a regular season. It was the weirdest experience of all time.
Because no one else is ever gonna fucking run a team like that. It was dumb as fuck.
Well,
it
was crazy though, because like we would lose the way we would lose. Like there was a couple games we lost even to you guys, but eventually it started being like 2-1 or 2-0. It was like close games where you're just like, so how we have a close game against them and then 10-0 against like Toronto? Like that doesn't make any sense.
Because Ryan, it's a really close game, and then motherfucker Sharpe goes and gets himself a penalty, and then we score on the power play.
That's true.
Worst acquisition.
I should have traded that motherfucker. Sharpe. I should have been Sharpe and traded that motherfucker.
Okay, you know what? That's the name of the cast. That's such a good pun. I was going to make it an asterisk.
All right. So I'm saying Maxwell. We think MVP of.
I'm going to say Digital. I don't think you have a team without him.
Kyle is crazy, but
no, because of the way you've made your team. It's because you literally don't have another player in his position.
Yeah, but still, it doesn't make him the MVP of that team.
He's the most valuable player to that team. If you don't have him, you're fucked.
Listen, a whole league. If you don't have whole league, you're fucked. No, it's okay. Hold on. Okay,
whole league's a bad example, Chris. They had a deep power.
You're right. He is. But then DeGraff is definitely MVP of Stockholm.
And
that means every goalie's MVP of pretty much every team.
Nope.
Yeah, because goalie's the most important position.
Yeah. Except for half the teams in the league that have good backups.
Maxwell. Okay, well let's just summarize this now. Who is MVP of those candidates we selected?
It's just Petness.
What does even the ballot for MVP look like? We're gonna assume Petness is on it.
Petness is my vote. Like it's just not even close.
Who's number 2? I would have to say Sky.
Cut Maxwell.
For me, it would be Petness, Sky, and Moon. I think that's the most legitimate 3 you're gonna get. Because Quebec and Helsinki had less offense and less offensive contributors than New York and Stockholm did. And even though we agreed that, we didn't agree. Kyle and I thought that DeGraff was the MVP of Stockholm. Chris thought it was Kohler, but Chris agreed with us that, that team did so well all across the board that it's tough to look at any of them. And I think ultimately I might have to be Guntness, right? Because Quebec had just enough more offense and Astrid had Axelson. Riga had nobody. Riga was Guntness. Guntis. I don't know. What do you guys think?
This is it's news. It's Guntis.
I don't agree that they had nobody. I don't like that argument.
Sorry, they had some people, but comparison
I mean, they
to the other two, they did what? Had some people? Yeah, sure. But I'm just their goalie didn't perform nearly as good as the rest of the goalies.
Their goalie had a 927 save percentage. That's not even that bad. That's actually fantastic. I mean, how is that bad? I mean, that's very good. I mean, then you add the fact that
I never said it was bad.
Well, I just heard you say it was bad.
No, I said that's not bad. I said it's not that. I said it's not that it's bad.
Nope, that's fair.
It's just saying as a comparison, right? Like, okay, who do you give MVP to? That's what I'm asking.
I don't know.
I'm saying Guntis, 100%.
I think Guntis has an argument, but I also think Guntis has a lot of negative factors to us.
So if it's not Guntis, then who is it?
You have to pose.
No,
it's not Guntis. It's Sky or Moon.
I don't know. I don't know. It's not Moon. I'll tell you that.
Why, Chris? Because
I can't even decide if he's the MVP of his own team.
That's fair.
Sky is the clear MVP of Quebec, though.
Yeah, I would agree.
So then Sky should win his second MVP straight. Because Quebec also did way better than Helsinki too. They had better, but the thing is, Quebec
Yeah,
had some
but-
better offensive contributors than Helsinki. did.
However, they had 5 guys who had at least 80 points.
Yeah, I
Right,
know.
that is Guntis.
Fuck.
Right? Like, that's the thing that we're stuck in.
Roman Sokolov,
Yeah,
64
Tyson
points.
Kohler.
64 points.
Rudolf
on a
Schmetteldorf.
Legion
How about we
team
just say
that
Rudolf
scraped by
Schmetteldorf?
and make the playoffs.
Rudolf
This year's going to
Schmetteldorf.
be a real tight race. I think there's going to be
I
like
don't know
3
who's
guys who
gonna-
get
I
a
don't-
significant amount.
And then Streetlight will come out with another
Calling
candidate
out,
that
it's
nobody's thought
going to be a
of.
split vote.
Oh,
it's gonna be a
definitely
split vote.
100%.
I don't even.
And no,
And then-
sorry, not split. I mean, co-winners. There's going to be co-winners
Oh,
this year.
tied. Okay.
Calling it.
Do you think that Streetlight's going to
Oh,
come
my
up with a random candidate that nobody's thought of?
I still
But
kind of
he's
agree with
actually got a
Chris's
really good
original
Canada's
thought that
gonna
I
be
can't give it.
himself.
I can't give MVP to Kohler or DeGrath because Stockholm was so good across the board. Pietro was awesome.
Well, it wasn't even just those guys. Wolf, Finn was pretty good.
Pietro and Wolf,
Fucking-
yeah, they were really
the
good
team
in
was
those
fantastic.
acquisitions.
The team was fantastic.
Nice meme, Chris.
Yeah, and the Titans didn't have over 100-point scorer, and they only had 3 guys above 80, whereas Quebec had 6. You said
I know.
Moon might be.
That's kind of
MVP.
actually, now that I think about it, actually, though, to be fair, Axelson might have a better case because of how no one
Much
really
he
came
ca-
close to
How
him.
much he carried that offense? Yeah.
Son. That's why
The
I said
closest
50
forward to him
fucking
had-
goals.
Yeah, no, the closest forward to him had 17 less points.
Yes.
And even
And he had
Covington had
52
only
goals.
71.
Yeah.
They only had 2 forwards above a point per game, and he had almost 100 points.
You were saying earlier how you want to use this stat anyway. First star 18
Plus
times.
18 first stars, 12
Yeah,
game-winning
yeah.
goals.
Exactly.
Axelson, baby.
Maybe.
Are you
How much is
him over
this me
Pettis, though,
just
Chris?
kind of not wanting to give it to them?
Axelson for days.
Also, to be fair, a real good argument here. Look at how many goals were on the power play. Only 3. So he had 49 even strength goals. That's actually like a
good.
pretty significant.
I think that means
In
he
fact,
scored.
I think he might have
actually.
league in that.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. I think Maxwell scored. Yeah,
Because
Maxwell
Max.
scored.
Oh no,
8.
Maxwell.
Yeah, so Maxwell had
52.
56. 56.
Still.
Oh no, 52. I looked
No.
at assists because my math is bad.
Jesus, Ryan.
Actually,
Shit's
looking at
bad.
assists somehow doesn't make my math bad. My math was correct on assists, but assists
My
aren't
my
goals.
point is, Axelson had only 9 points on the power play.
That's, Ryan, that's
He
'cause you
still
didn't
got
have
nearly
the
100.
system.
Axelson got nearly 100 points without even really having to be a power play factor. He got almost all of his points even strength. That's pretty impressive. And then you add 363 hits, which he did without taking an absurd amount of penalty minutes, a la Petness. He only had 165 penalty minutes.
I think we can all agree that Yesselmania
And
would be
and his not only.
I
did he-
actually think Axelson's got a big argument here.
Yeah, the only real issue is that Helsinki's place in the standings is not as good as Quebec or Stockholm.
Yeah, but
It's better than a Riga,
that's-
though.
Yeah, but they're still a playoff team, and they're still better than Riga, and they're
at
probably.
the end of the day,
better- are they only better
finished
than Riga
1
too
point back in
because
New
of
York.
Theo Axelson?
they finished 1 point back in New
Here's the
York.
thing that I think we have to consider. We never, ever give any credit to Solis, so maybe we should just say Theo Axelson. That guy never gets any
All right.
credit at the Pajodcast.
For the purposes of wrapping this cast up, we'll give credit to Theo Axelson.
I like Axelson. For the
I'm
Canadians.
actually still going to probably end up voting for Petness, but Axelson's pretty good.
I think Moon also is a candidate. We'll see.
I like Petness more for Slobo, and that's my issue. I think with him is I think he's more of a Slobo guy. He had all the numbers.
wins the Slobo.
Who you think wins the Slobo?
you can't vote for him for both awards?
We're all friends again.
It's not that you can't vote for him for both awards.
Oh
I just
God!
think,
Now he's going to be the me and make my argument.
I think Axelson just made a bigger contribution. Now that I'm actually looking at all the stats. I mean,
okay.
You guys are fucking.
I mean, let's not
idiots.
forget, 18 first stars, guys.
But we'll always be friends, Kyle.
I know.
Fuck you,
This is-
Ryan.
We'll be watching too much NXT together and insulting shitty commentary.
And look,
Actually, to be fair, NXT's commentary is better. They got Nigel, man.
No, if we do one pay-per-view, though, we're going to have to hear Cole.
No, not NXT. Cole doesn't
That's
do
true,
that.
but who knows? Maybe we'll do a real pay-per-view.
Maybe Corey Graves though, man.
Oh, Ryan's favorite.
Speaking of emos like Kylo Ren, get all the tats about your girlfriends that are damaged.
Oh, this is the name of all of my ex-girlfriends.
Yeah.
As long as I can watch Tommy fucking and kick people in the
This
face.
is the name of the diner I ate at once. I got good tea there. Yeah.
This is the name of the third girl who turned me down on November 3rd, 2016. At that night
I
of
met
the
her on
bar.
Tinder.
Yeah.
To be fair, I actually feel bad for Graves. Though,
This is because his career ended abruptly through injury.
Yeah,
it was
because he got 2 concussions.
Oh,
Like,
Listen,
They told him they wouldn't never
Listen.
wrestle again.
I troll. I don't actually dislike the person Corey Graves. I just think he's shit at comedy.
No, I know.
Yeah, but to be fair, that's not what he was training his whole career
Hey
for.
guys,
His career was for.
agents are calling. Road Dogg is going to get old enough to leave eventually, so just get
I
freaking
think-
Corey
Dude,
Graves in
Jimmy
there.
Jacobs is a road agent there.
I know. That was the greatest move of all time. Another guy. Look, emo hit cat
Hold
kid.
on.
There you go.
I bet you I can find a list of them. WWE road agents.
There's a role for Corey Graves. He joins Jimmy Jacobs in a WWE version of Age of the Fall, which, for those who don't know, was
I'm actually okay with
an
this.
emo gimmick that ran in ROH.
I don't hate that.
Their
idea.
entrance music wasn't entrance music. It was literally a lady screaming at the top of her lungs.
Okay.
It was the worst thing
Sounds
of all
Adam
time.
Adam Pierce, Gerald Briscoe, Matt
Did you say
Bloom, which
Gerald?
is obviously A-Train.
Isn't this Jay Briscoe?
No,
Right.
it's different. Oh my God, he isn't Ryan. He doesn't know the Hall of Famer Gerald Briscoe.
Dude,
I thought
Gerald
we were-
Briscoe, Pat
I thought we were
Patterson,
talking
Vince
about-
McMahon's
Yeah.
Stooges.
I know
Man,
who
Norman,
Patterson is.
Dude, the two
Norman
men who
Smiley
received-
is back there. Dude, Scotty Too Hottie's a trainer.
Oh
Two
my
men,
God,
Kyle,
my boy.
and Briscoe and Patterson.
That's
who
why they have so many dancers.
received more Stone Cold Stunners than any men in history.
Who?
I mean, that's pretty impressive.
Patterson and Briscoe. Stone Cold
Oh,
stunned
yeah,
them
they-
way more than he did anyone.
Oh yeah.
Vince, maybe Vince has the prestige a little bit more than
No,
Vince.
he's
Pretty
taking-
much,
Okay,
they would
hold
come
on.
out with Vince,
Quick-
Kyle, and Austin would just stun all of them
A
every
quick
time. That was
fact
wrong.
here, Seth Petruzzelli is a striking coach for them, and he is the guy who knocked out Kimbo Slice in like 3 seconds.
I mean, that's
He was that pink-haired guy, if you've ever seen with the pink mohawk, and he knocked out Kimbo Slice in like 3 seconds, and he took the fight that night, and people are like, he's got zero chance. And yeah, he destroyed Kimbo Slice, and now he's a striking coach
Chris, you know who
for
I think?
WWE.
You know who I think it should be? And I think it was inspired by you on the upcoming, which will be out tomorrow at 5 p.m. episode of Pajodcast. I think your boy Scott Steiner.
Dude,
Someone
I
should
love
create
Scott
Scott Steiner. That should have been your next player, Kyle, not Mr.
No,
Shake.
Mr. Shake.
Oh no, that's my next player, Ryan. If we're being real here, that's my next player.
He should be a fighter. There should be a
He's gonna
promo
be a
skill
fighter.
too. He needs
Ryan.
the shit talk skill.
Dude, Mr. Shakedown, I've actually gotten to a point where I run away from him, not because I'm scared of him, but because he's not worth it. He carries around like 9 million yen. And I'm, like when I have $1 billion on me, it's like, this is not worth the risk. Because if I lose all billion yen.
But then
If I
he has
win
$1 billion yen. So then you put the stakes high on trying to
Right,
beat
but
him.
why don't I just have the money instead of having to
True.
fight him? Right?
Right. There is a coward's way out. You just go the other direction.
No, I just go. No, I have to like walk
Okay,
slowly
we don't
behind
need to
him
see
because he's on the
Kane on
way.
Supercard.
It's gotta be Kane.
Does it
It's
gotta
gotta be Kane.
That should probably be it, Kyle. You should end on that.
Chris, give us some more of that again.
Shit, I have to find my player again.
Yeah,
Pick a
this
different
has
wrestler
been-
and say
Hey,
it.
thanks for joining us in the VHL Pajodcast.
I got this.
This is,
Everyone,
Brian
yeah.
Power, Kyle Snow, and
And Tommy End.